This video will focus on cases I find criminally significant from February 2023. I purposefully did not include the names of murderers in this presentation because I don't want them to have any more publicity. I will start with a quote by General MacArthur from his presentations to the Michigan Senate in 1952. Communism has infiltrated into journalism, the press, the radio, and the school. It seeks to pervert the truth, impair moral values, suppress human freedom and representative government, destroy our faith in our own religious teachings. This first victim, it was a former Playboy model. Christina Kaylin Kraft was engaged to her longtime boyfriend, Alexander Ciccitelli, who had bought her an apartment in Ardmore, a neighborhood in Philadelphia. She had only just moved into the house. A short while later, a man who spiked Christina's drink at a bar followed her home and broke into her house to steal a few of her luxury bags and pieces of jewelry. He was ultimately acquitted. However, later, Carlin Kraft was brutally beaten and then strangled to death. Her nose was broken and her eyes were blackened in the areas where she had been hit. Her killer, Jonathan Harris, claimed that she had attacked him first. In the city of Milwaukee, the city grieved the loss of Officer Peter Jerving while learning more details about the shooter, Terrell Thompson. Thompson's family said they are still waiting for information on the events that led up to Thompson's death and created a GoFundMe that wasn't shot down despite Thompson's long history in the court. Just one day before the deadly shooting, Thompson was in court for a misdemeanor hit and run case. This is a hard one. A man got 2 life sentences in the brutal 2017 killing of Mary Lou Gettle on February 10th, 2023. A Tuscaloosa man was convicted of killing Mary Lou Gettle, and he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He was guilty of capital murder during a robbery and capital murder during a burglary for killing Goodell after breaking into her home with the intent of stealing her belongings. He also tortured the 92-year-old. The Alabama's attorney's office was unable to seek a death sentence due to the prohibition of executing people with mental disabilities. McQueen's IQ was in the upper 50s and so falls below the threshold set by the U.S. Supreme Court. This is a photograph of Rowan Sweeney. It hasn't been age regressed. He really was 4 years old at the time of his shooting. The defendants filmed videos of themselves with a lot of money taken from another victim in the case. Bryant and Andrew McCoy exchanged messages about a large amount of cash the boyfriend of Sweeney's mother, Yarnell Green, displayed. Rowan Sweeney was, it's believed, present at the time of this cash being stolen, and that's why he was shot. An arrest was made on February 9th, 2023, in the murder of Montgomery County mother Jennifer Brown. Police arrested her business partner Blair Watts and charged him with the murder of her when she was found dead and partially buried in a shallow grave in Royersford. In New Jersey, Gary Curtis, 58 years old, was identified as the suspect in the shooting of local New Jersey council member Russell Heller. He was shot dead in his car exactly 1 week after the slaying of GOP councilwoman Eunice Dwumfor. Curtis was found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, Somerset County Prosecutor's Office said on February 9th, 2023. 2 cousins were killed during a 100-mile-per-hour crash, and they were killed by an Uber driver. This happened in Houston, Texas. Brian Tatum was found guilty at the beginning of February for the murders of Priscilla De Leon and Diana Salazar. The Harris County District Attorney's Office said he was convicted after a week-long trial. The jurors deliberated for only 29 minutes. He was facing a sentence ranging from 25 years to life in prison based on his criminal history, but instead of letting jurors or a judge decide his punishment, he agreed to 50 years in prison. He took a deal. He can't appeal, and he has to serve at least 25 years before he is eligible for parole. 25 years for killing 2 young women. Eliza Fletcher was a teacher, and she died from a gunshot wound to the head, according to her autopsy. She was a Tennessee mother, and she endured blunt force trauma to the head after she went on a jog. She was a mother and heiress to a billion-dollar fortune, and she was on a jog near the University of Memphis when she was forced into a dark GMC terrain and raped by Cleotha Abston. Abston's body language during his trial has showed him to be non-repentant. Golf pro Gene Siller, who worked as a golf instructor on a golf course in the Atlanta area, was killed because he witnessed an active crime taking place. 2 other men were also found dead in the bed of a pickup truck on the green where Siller was shot. Siller was the father of 2, and he often took his children to the golf course to watch him play. 2 suspects charged in the killing of Nashville ICU nurse Caitlin Kaufman appeared in court in February 2023. They asserted that Caitlin cut them off after she got off the phone with her mother on her way to work, and they had a case of road rage and shot her several times through her vehicle in her side and her arm. She wasn't able to survive the injuries. This photo is of Cannon Hanot. Again, not an age-regressed photo. This 4-year-old was shot. Cannon Hanot was shot while playing with his 2 younger sisters in Wilson, North Carolina, while playing in his neighbor's yard. Hanot's neighbor, Darius Sessoms, was arrested for the shooting within 24 hours. Sessoms entered an Alford plea. An Alford plea allows a defendant to maintain their innocence while admitting that the prosecution has evidence that would allow them to obtain a conviction. A judge sentenced Sessoms to life in prison, and Sessoms still says that he's innocent despite the fact that he was witnessed shooting Cannon Hanot, a child. A few weeks ago, ER doctor, Dr. Mamoni, was run over by a man in his Prius in California. Dr. Mamoni was on a bike ride in Dana Point. He had saved countless lives, and he was also a father. Witnesses reported that the killer was making comments about white privilege, and the fact that Dr. Mamoni had white privilege was enough for him to be run over and killed.